What would you do if you set aside a significant sum of money for your child's education, but they decided to skip college and demanded the cash to move in with a partner you barely approved of? In today's story, a father's choice to stand firm on his principles ignited a family firestorm. My 19-year-old daughter, Chloe, called me this morning, her voice buzzing with an excitement I hadn't heard in a long time. She told me that her girlfriend, Jenna, had proposed, and she wanted to move into her apartment. I tried to sound happy for her, I truly did, but a knot of apprehension tightened in my stomach. For context, my daughter met this woman online, and they have never spent more than a few quick weekend visits in the same room. On top of that, they've only been dating for a little over a year. I gently expressed my reservations, but I was careful to add that she was an adult and the decision was ultimately hers to make. The real problem began when Chloe asked me for money. You see, when her older brother, Leo, moved out for college, I gave him what I called an educational stipend. He'd managed to secure a scholarship that covered his tuition, so I sent him $500 a month to ensure he wouldn't have to worry about food or living expenses. That support, combined with what he earned during summer jobs, meant he could focus entirely on his studies without needing a part-time job during the school year. Over the course of his degree, that stipend amounted to around $16,000. I had always told Chloe that I would do the exact same thing for her when she went off to school. Now, on the phone, she told me that college was on the back burner. She was moving out to be with her fiancé, who at 23, had already graduated and was working a good job in IT, ready to support them both. Chloe then said that since she wasn't going to school, she'd rather just take a lump sum of the money now, or at least get the same $500 a month her brother did. Chloe made her demand, believing she was asserting her independence. She was completely unaware that this single conversation, and her father's response, would set the stage for a major turning point in their relationship. I told her calmly but firmly that while I couldn't stop her from moving, that money was set aside for one purpose and one purpose only, to support her education. I said that if this move turned out to be a mistake and she decided to go to school, or even if she wanted to pursue a degree after getting married, I would be more than happy to contribute that money as promised. But it was not, under any circumstances, just a free handout. And here, I was holding a perfectly consistent line. As one commenter later pointed out, I wasn't refusing to give my daughter the same amount of money. I was merely enforcing the same stipulations that were applied when my son received it. It was an education-based stipend. It wasn't like I just handed my son $15,000. There was a parental reason for the money and a distinct need it was meant to fulfill. Chloe got incredibly mad and accused me of favoring Leo. To her credit, she wasn't entirely wrong about our dynamic. Leo and I have always had a closer relationship. He was the studious, rule-following kid, while Chloe had always been more of a troublemaker. But that doesn't mean I love them any differently. I reiterated that it was an educational stipend. If she felt she was independent enough to move in with her fiancé, then she was independent enough to get a job and earn her own money. We argued back and forth before she angrily hung up on me. A few minutes later, my wife, Sarah, came to me after Chloe had called her. Sarah thinks we should give her something to keep the peace. I told her my honest thinking. I believe this relationship will fail, and I'd rather keep that $16,000 as an emergency blanket for when, not if, she needs to move back home. I don't want her to think for a second that I support this decision. And this revealed my greatest internal conflict. My deep-seated desire to protect my daughter was clashing with my rigid principles, blinding me to the fact that my actions, meant as a safety net, were being perceived as a vote of no confidence. Sarah told me she could sort of see my point, but she made it clear she was staying out of it and wasn't going to help me unravel the mess with Chloe. But as I see it, Chloe is acting like a spoiled brat. As another person later wisely noted, the real question isn't about being perfectly fair. What matters is that I might be willfully damaging my relationship with my daughter because I'm so sure I know more about her life than she does. My conviction that the relationship will fail is a disrespectful way to think, and it's fueling a fire that might burn the bridge between us. For now, though, I'm sticking to my guns. The story teaches us that true fairness often means applying rules consistently, not just distributing money equally, but it also warns that even when we're technically right, our approach can deeply damage the relationships we're trying to protect. Was the father right to stick to his principles, or should he have offered some financial support to preserve the relationship with his daughter? What would you have done?